Mathematics crossing your eyes? Maybe Pocket Roni can help you.
Alright, we're going to be graphing perpendicular lines. What you need to know about perpendicular lines: when lines are perpendicular, hopefully you know what perpendicular lines mean. That means they have a right angle. The lines look like this. Those two lines form a right angle. Those are perpendicular. So perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes, meaning that if one slope is a positive, then the other one is a negative, and they are reciprocals of each other. So opposite reciprocals, I mean opposite signs. So like in 10b5, they want to know which is perpendicular to a slope of -4. That was your original line somewhere else on the page. So you have a slope of -4. What is perpendicular to that? Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes, opposite sign. So we know that our new slope is going to be opposite sign of negative, which will be positive, and we want the reciprocal of 1/4. Reciprocal means just flip it around. So the reciprocal of 1/4 is 4/1, which is the same thing as just 4. So we are looking for slopes of +4. So looking at A, B, and C, the very first thing you want to do is put each one of them in slope-intercept form so you can see if they are going to have a slope of 4. So putting this one in slope-intercept form, I need to divide everything by 2. So this new equation would be y equals 4x minus 5. Okay, we can see that one is going to have a slope of 4. So therefore, we know that this one for sure is perpendicular. This line, a slope of 4, is perpendicular to -1/4 because my slope is the opposite sign and the reciprocal. Okay, looking at B, our slope here, it's already in slope-intercept form, so the slope is -1/4. This is not perpendicular, it is parallel to the original slope, and that's not what we want. We want perpendicular, so that one is not perpendicular. This one we need to put in slope-intercept form, so we need to divide everything by 4. So this new equation would be y equals, that's like a 1, -1/4 x plus 2. -1/4, we are looking for a slope of 4. So -1/4 is parallel to the original line, not perpendicular. So the only one that's perpendicular that has the opposite reciprocal slope of -1/4 is this one, which is 4. Okay, we're going to be looking at 10c8. It says draw a line that is perpendicular to this equation right here. We want to be perpendicular to y equals 1/3 x minus 4. So you can see we want to be perpendicular to 1/3. If we want to be perpendicular to 1/3, that means we need to have the opposite sign. Right now it's a positive slope, so we know we're going to need a negative. And then we want the reciprocal of 1/3. The reciprocal of 1/3 is 3/1. So we're going to have a slope of -3/1. So we'll go down 3 and then over to the right 1 when we're graphing. And we're going to go through the point of 0, -4. So when we graph that, here's our original line of y equals 1/3 x minus 4. Okay, that's our original line. But we want to be perpendicular to that. So perpendicular, we said we needed our slope to be -3. And we're going to go through 0, -4. So we graph 0, -4. 0 is our x-coordinate. We didn't go anywhere in the x direction, so we go down -4. Here's that point. Okay, from that point right there, we count our slope of -3/1. So it means we go down 3, 1, 2, 3. So we go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over to the right 1. And there's a point right there, connecting those lines right there. This is our new line, and you can see that it is perpendicular to the original line. Now, going back up to our board, I'm going to calculate the y-intercept. This is actually something you're going to learn in lesson 11, but I'm going to go ahead and do it here. So if we know we want a slope of -3 and we're passing through this point, that is an x, y value, okay? So So we can calculate our y-intercept using y equals mx plus b. We know our slope is -3. We know our x and y values from right here, so we can take those and plug these in here. Our y value from over there is -4. Our slope is -3. Our x value is 0 plus b. -3 times 0 is just 0. So we have -4 equals 0 plus b. So now you can see b equals -4. And on our graph, it did cross the y-axis at -4. So now we can write an equation with this y-intercept and the slope of -3 would be y equals -3x minus 4. And this line is perpendicular. These two lines are perpendicular to each other. Okay, look at 10d6. It says draw a line perpendicular to this line right here. We want to be perpendicular to y equals -2x plus 1. So we want to be perpendicular to a slope of -2. And we're going to go through this point. So if we want to be perpendicular to -2, we have to have opposite reciprocal slopes. Means we have to have the opposite sign. This is negative, so our new slope is going to be positive, and we want the reciprocal of 2. Okay? The reciprocal of 2, you can make any number of fraction by putting it over 1. So the reciprocal of 2 is like 1/2. So to have the opposite sign, it was negative, we want positive, and the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. So we want a slope of 1/2 going through the point 4, 1. So if we look at our graph, so we want a slope of 1/2, and we're going to go through this point 4, 1. Here's our original line of y equals -2x plus 1. We are crossing the y-intercept at 1, and then we had a slope of -2, down 2, over to the right 1. Now we want perpendicular to this. Perpendicular slope means we're going to have a slope of 1/2, and we're going to go through the point 4, 1. So we graph the point 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. There's the point 4, 1. From this point, we count our slope. Rise over run. Rise 1, go over to the right 2. So from this point, we went up 1, over 2, and here's our line. And if I could draw it straight, we probably would be coming to this point right here. But you can tell that the blue line is perpendicular to the red line. Alright, going back to calculations of something you will learn in lesson 11. We want to be able to calculate. Let's say we want to calculate the y-intercept. We're given the slope and a point. So these are our x, y values. So if we use y equals mx plus b, you can actually calculate the y-intercept. Our y value from this point is 1. Our new slope is 1/2 that we want perpendicular. And our x value from this point is 4 plus b. Okay, multiplying these together, it's like making that over 1, multiplying fractions, that would be 1 equals 4 over 2 plus b. 4 divided by 2 is just 2, so you have 1 equals 2 plus b. Subtracting your 2 over, and you would see that b equals -1. A negative 1. So the new perpendicular line would cross the y-axis at -1, and from my graph, it did do that. It should have been crossing at it. You can rewind your video and go look at it. So I can now write a new equation for the perpendicular line, knowing that my slope is 1/2 and my y-intercept is -1. My equation can be written as y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Again, these are things you're going to learn in lesson 11, but if you're already past that point, these are just good problems for you to be practicing.